Gods came down, tried to wash us away, but we built back strong, found another way. Black boy rising, where the shadows stay. Corner store lessons from the OG crew. Keep your head high, boy, do what you do. Street light wisdom help me make it through. Haters on my back, but my heart stayed loud. Old street survivor made my mama proud. Wore my skull.
Hey, I hope everybody is enjoying that brand new theme song. You know, a little personal thing I did with the AI about who I am, where I'm from. It's your man Zen Master here tonight, as you can see right over here on the portrait and over here on the landscape version. We're streaming both orientations to Facebook. Not quite sure about you, and YouTube, pardon me. I'm not quite sure about Facebook. I know you're getting the landscape over there at Facebook. Not quite sure if you're getting the portrait, but I hope everything is going well for you and yours, regardless of what. Well, we got an action-packed show tonight. We're going to be reacting to some videos that I have not seen on YouTube, quite frankly. I'm trying to save my honest reaction for you and yours so that it's not some contrived reaction. I want to give you my genuine reaction in the moment. So what we have tonight is a reaction to the Lakers, what's going on with the Los Angeles Lakers and LeBron James right now, including reactions to Scap Attack and Fox Sports Radio's Odd Couple, Rob Parker, Kelvin Washington. Also, we have a story from Secular Talk, our man Kyle Kulinski, about ICE abandoning a refugee to freeze to death in America's northern sections. We'll get all the details about that. I've seen the story. I haven't seen Kyle Kulinski's version of it, so we'll hold and hear what Kyle has to say there. We're also going to talk about 50 Cent, yet another beef, the Beef Master. Is there a Beefmeister? Is that the word we would use in German? Maybe you know some other term that's common in Germany for a beef master that sounds cool. But 50 is always in beef. T.I. is typically embroiled in some kind of controversy, not necessarily a beef, but beef, yes. And criminal charges, yes. And sex scandals, yes. T.I., Trouble Man, appropriate name. Of course, this time his son, King, got involved. And we're going to take a listen to Poetic Flacco's video regarding T.I. and King. Now, I will admit I have seen this one. So this will be, review for me. And some of you probably have as well if you watch Poetic Flacco like I do. And then we're going to take a listen to what Antonio Talks has to say about this subject. Antonio Talks is one of our favorite YouTubers. He has two channels if you're interested, Antonio Talks and Antonio Speaks. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get the day started. T.I. and King exposed 50 Cent and leaked documents that can, hold on now, let me make sure I get the title for you. Leaked documents that can end him. Okay. Let's go ahead and spin that
50
clip.
Cent needs to back out of this beef with T.I. before it's too late. Let me explain. We'll get back to the video shortly, but I wanted to let you guys know this video is being sponsored by Kalshi.
Oh, yeah,
Kalshi is an app where you can make money 10 times a daily. Decided to Steve
Boy, I should have got through that, huh?
The beef is looking lopsided, and 50 Cent is losing a beef with T.I. badly, primarily because T.I.'s son, King Harris, decided to step in this beef. See, when 50 Cent started the beef with T.I., I don't think 50 Cent anticipated or knew that T.I. was raising the light-skinned Tupac in his home.
I go outside, wet that whole shit up. And one of the niggas in Clubhouse was in the gas station. I didn't even know though. This is not a main member of his again. So he get back on Clubhouse like, boy, y'all was in that gas station, y'all just woo-woo. And I'm like, yeah. And then we end up shooting up his house. He running, slipping through mud, all type of shit. And then he called the war off. He said, nah, it's over. It's done.
So what he did.
First of all, let me comment on this young man, King. We all are familiar with his struggles as of the last few years. coming into his own. And let me just say, I know it's not easy raising kids. I know. And I'm not a rap star, but I like to think that if I had millions of dollars or access to millions of dollars, my kids would have been well educated. Looks like I lost my camera. Let me go ahead and refresh. But my kids would have been very well educated, and frankly, I would be embarrassed if my kid sounded like King Harris when he speaks. I'm not picking on Southerners in this case. I'm not picking on anyone except the Harris family for letting their son grow up to sound like he's straight off of the block without training. You grew up in a multi-million-dollar home. Your education should have been top shelf, and if it wasn't, I gotta hold your parents accountable for that. Everyone else is out here trying to get what your parents have so that their kids can have access to those schools, and I'm sure he did. And he probably got kicked out. I'm pretty sure he did get kicked out now that I think about it. But I don't know, man. This kid, everybody knows he wants to be a gangster so bad, man. And it's like, why? Why? You already have everything gangsters want. Just be happy and live your life. I really appreciate Snoop Dogg's kids for being who they are, because they could be just like this.
I'm walking out of Waffle House by his house. I tell my people before I go out, I say, hey, I don't give a fuck what he said, he ain't over with. I say, y'all be on point. You got guns in y'all hand out here with the woo. I walk in there, order my food, I come out, I got my head in my phone. Something just say, look up. I see two niggas with dreads and black hoodies run across the green box, start lighting it up. So boom, I just hear tagging the gun. I get down, open my car door. My gun was an automatic, so I opened my car door, grabbed it, ran at it. But they emptied the clip and started running, so they ran in some bushes while we chasing them down.
We thought the kid was a Rugrat character the whole time. He a savage, which would explain what he's been doing and how little F's this kid has given during his beef, bro. See, 50 Cent and T.I. had their own thing going on, and then 50 Cent posted T.I.'s wife, which is his mom. So he was forced to step into beef to defend his mom. And since he has stepped into beef, it's been literally lopsided. This kid has been giving 50 Cent hell.
I hate to say it, but this is probably the best thing that ever happened to King Harris. Honestly. Let me know what you think in the comments, but it probably is.
And it hasn't stopped, right? In our last update, we talked about how he kind of exposed 50 Cent for allegedly setting his baby mama house on fire while his son was in it. Like 50 Cent was playing with dildos at some point in his career. There's photos of this. So he exposed a lot of information about 50 Cent. I feel like the world wasn't privy to, but he hasn't stopped there. Today, he's back with more information about 50 Cent. The first time 50 Cent posted T.I.'s wife, T.I.'s son, King, posted 50 Cent's dead mother and made fun of her and posted her grave. But 50 Cent apparently didn't learn his lesson, because now he's back to posting T.I.'s wife again. He posted this picture of Tiny this morning, and this sparked King to get more disrespectful and go after 50 Cent again. King responded back to what 50 Cent did.
I mean, once you start posting family members, in my opinion, everything's on the table, man. Everything's on the table. Now, 50 started that. You got a problem with T.I., you got a problem with T.I. Take it up with T.I. Don't take it up with T.I.'s wife. We saw a recent example of this very same thing between Corey Holcomb and Anton Daniels. The very same type of stuff. Only these guys really play with guns. They're really crazy. Both of them are kind of nutty. And don't think for a second that these 50-year-olds won't shoot each other. These two, beef with each other is extremely dangerous. Don't take it for cartoonish. Don't think they both have too much to lose. They're both from the streets. One of them is really, really hardcore from the streets, and that's 50 Cent, let's be honest. And T.I., you know, I don't think T.I. is no sucker. I don't think T.I. is no punk. I really don't. I think T.I., you know, has shown and proved that he's carrying heat just about every time, everywhere. So hopefully both of them are aware of mutually assured destruction and just leave each other alone. But this is going really far. And once you put mamas on the table, man, hey, your mama's fair too. So no mercy. Let's spin the clip.
By posting a picture of 50 Cent as a kid, holding a drawing that he did of his deceased mother, and King would title this, "You are a great artist, Lil Ninja. Look just like Miss Jackson, ugly ah. Laughing, laughing, laughing. How much to
Ugly
buy
ass.
it? 50 Cent, I'll pay top dollar." Now, I've never seen this picture.
Poetic Flacco ain't never been down. So it's ugly ass. Or even the Midwest. They say that in the Midwest. It's ugly ass. Come on, man.
I'm probably sure it was like a quick Google search away. But this is just crazy, man. Now, King didn't stop here, bruh. King continued the disrespect. So King now apparently had a picture of 50 Cent mother. So King dropped a diss track to 50 Cent where he's smoking on 50 Cent's dead mama.
Yeah, how dare you talk about mamas? Yeah, mama in the grave, yeah, dig her up, think for the under. Buy my mama, bitch, I'm on that. Static, I want thunder. Think the compression. The only one with comps. Since you trolling, let's get petty. They should shot. Ready. Yeah, I seen the black and white. You call the police to tell the business. You can talk that shit outside, but when you come outside, be ready. I don't know about what's gonna happen, but I know that karma dead. Tell me Jackson that I'm sorry, but I don't know why the fuck someone even get me started. I asked God to visit hell to stop the heard it started. I just changed it for my son, but since the jet I've been cold-hearted. Praise to risk it for my mama, so this shit ain't disregarded. Now my flow be retarded. Tell them police that I'm capping, I'm just rapping, I'm an artist. Ain't the type to start no shit, the type to finish what they started. Keep it against kids and women, ain't supposed to be no target. From that stop, yeah, I ain't going out for nothing. Shot that boy 9 times, they should've shot him once right in his muscle. Really mad cause Diddy, he was cuffing, she was touching on my pocket.
I mean, listen, man, the diss track was boo-boo, okay? The diss track was garbage.
We agree. That was some basura, straight basura.
It was trash. It was not good at all. But the diss track did touch on all the narratives against 50 Cent. Now, somebody in my comment section reminded me, because what I said was, man, King is too young for 50 Cent to beef with. It's kind of unfair. Somebody reminded me, and they said, Flacco, 50 Cent was terrorizing Lil Meech for I don't know how long. Lil Meech and King Harris are around the same age. So if you could beef with Lil Meech, how you beefing with Lil Meech, you could beef with King Harris. You just don't got nothing on King Harris because, one, you and King Harris never had a relationship. King Harris is too young. His business not really on the internet. Like, this is a kid who's young enough to where he don't really got no smut on his name yet. So it's hard to really beef with somebody you know nothing about, which is why me personally, I don't give no attention to like YouTubers who diss me because I don't got time to research your life. I'm good, right? Like, I'm straight. So that's the that's the part where it's kind of like, bro, how do 50 Cent beat King Harris? He can't. He knows nothing about King Harris and he don't have a relationship with King Harris, right? Now, with King Harris though.
All right, if anybody should know this game, it's Poetic Flacco, who has been doing a yeoman's job. My favorite word for 2026, yeoman's whatever. But a yeoman's job at digging up dirt on Corey Holcomb. So, you know, of all people, Curtis 50 Cent Jackson is gonna find a way. He's gonna find a way to put a hurt on the Harris family. It may not be the son. Everything's off limits now. Everything off limits now. If you haven't seen what's going on, how far the Harris family is taking it, and others are taking it, Rick Ross, man, it's getting bad. It's getting bad. So I don't like seeing this. I really don't. These folks are supposed to be more mature by now, and they're just not. And it's bad for hip hop.
Here's why I tell King Harris, listen, man, all right, you might be going too far. Watch your back, man. Because I don't think 50 Cent is stupid enough to want to harm you. But the way you going, bro, the things you bringing up, bro, you gotta be careful, man. Yo, King Harris brought up in this in this diss track that he got the black and white on 50 Cent snitching and telling. Well, earlier in the day, he posted the Lodi Mac paperwork. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, let me explain. King Harris made this post on Instagram and he says, I got 21 questions. But just answer this one. So who was Lodi Mac, y'all know? Whoever he was, after he died, that's when Freaky Cent started to fear for his life.
Freaky Cent.
And well, it's up there.
That's funny.
Is this who called my pops a rat with no black and white? Well, here's yours, sir. Now, the black and white he posted ain't really new to people like myself who has done, like, I think I did a full video on Lodi Mac and Jimmy Henchman. If you guys are not tapped in, go to my video. It probably got, I dropped this one when I had like 50 subscribers, so it probably did like 2,000 views, but it's still informative, okay? Now, the paperwork is in black and white and King posted, okay? So here's the paperwork if you guys have not seen it yet, okay? So the paperwork states, again, this is from the U.S. Department of Justice Report of Investigation, and it says, on or about October 9th, 2009, Sergeant Brian Smith received an anonymous call from a cell phone number. The caller stated that we should investigate James Rosman, aka Jimmy Henchman, in regards to the Lowell Fletcher, aka Lodi Mac homicide. Now, Lodi Mac, if you guys don't know,
if y'all ain't familiar with Jimmy Henchman, I don't know where you've been if you have anything to do with rap music or the legacy of the 90s. But this guy, man, he had his tentacles in every dirty little thing going on in the 90s. Like, this is the Suge Knight nobody talks about. So if you want to do a doc flick, if you're an aspiring filmmaker out there, this guy, Jimmy Henchman Roseman, in my opinion, deserves a doc flick for his involvement in Tupac and everything else, 50 Cent, Supreme Team, everything he was involved with. I think he deserves a biopic of his own. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hit that like button, subscribe, share the video, share the live. We're trying to grow our live audience here at Reaction Nation with your man, Zen Master. Thank you for watching. Well, let's go ahead and spin this clip.
Oh, this was Tony Yayo's best friend, right? This was Tony Yayo's right-hand man, right? So he was a real integral part of, of like G-Unit and their street reputation. After further investigation, so they investigated this tip, it was discovered that the phone that was used in the anonymous tip was connected to Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. On October 12, 2009, Sergeant Brian Smith David Torres arrived at the home of Jackson located at blank, Farmington, Connecticut. Jackson confirmed that he was the person who placed the anonymous call and that he was in fear of his life following the death of Lodi Mac. When asked what he believed the motive for henchmen to murder Lodi Mac, he stated that he believed Lodi Mac was killed for the assault to Jimmy Henchman's 14-year-old son, Lodi, and various band members from the G-Unit group have participated in it. Now, the paperwork...
I remember that incident. For those who don't recall, Jimmy Henchman's son was caught walking down the street by Tony Yayo and Lodi Mac. They hopped out the car and Tony Yayo smacked Jimmy Henchman's 14-year-old son in the face. So of course, that didn't sit well with Jimmy. And now what this paperwork is saying is that out of fear for his life, 50 Cent cooperated with the police. Now, is this paperwork valid or not? I don't know, but I'll let Poetic Flacco run that down.
Will state that Jackson stated that he will cooperate with the investigation and will be willing to provide any information he may have in connection to shooting involving Jimmy Henchman. Jackson disclosed that he was shot in the past and the person who attempted to kill him had been hired by Irvin Lorenzo, aka Irv Gotti, and Kenneth McGriff, aka Supreme, further asserting the fear for his life. Now, this paperwork has always been called into question. 50 Cent has stated in the past that it was fake. Tony Yayo has also stated in the past that it was fake. Now, if you guys don't know the story of Jimmy Henchman and Lodi Mac, or why Lodi Mac was killed, let me remind you guys.
Reignited the beef, leading to a fresh wave of diss tracks from both 50 Cent and the game. The back and forth was intense, and neither side seemed willing to back down. In 2007, the beef took a dangerous turn. In March of that year, Jimmy Henchman's son was heading into the building where his father's office was located. Tony Yayo and his associate, Lodi Mac, happened to cross paths with the 14-year-old. They confronted him, and Tony Yayo slapped the kid while Lodi Mac flashed a gun, threatening his life. The boy went inside and told his father about the encounter. The whole incident was caught on camera, leading to Tony Yayo's arrest. Although the charges against Yayo were eventually dismissed, Lodi Mack took the fall, claiming he was the one who hit the boy. He was sentenced to 2 years in prison for the assault. Tragically, just a couple of weeks after Lodi Mack was released from prison, he was shot dead in New York. This wasn't a random...
I had no idea about Lodi Mack being murdered behind that incident, but people don't play about the kids, especially gangsters, which is why it surprised me. It surprised everybody when it happened. Like, y'all really took a risk. Y'all really took a big risk, man, and cost this dude his life, unfortunately.
Act of violence. Jimmy Henchman had put a hit out on him. According to Tony Yayo, the man who Lodi Mack was actually his cellmate in prison.
Jimmy Henchman case, all this is documented. But the hitman was actually in jail with my friend. So he befriended him in jail. And then when he got home, that's the same hitman that was his friend in jail. It was the actual hitman.
The was meticulously planned by Henchman and his associates. They got information about Lodi Mack's release and movements. When they initially tried to identify him, they missed him, but they persisted. Eventually, they found out who Lodi Mack's lawyer was and called the lawyer, pretending to be a friend of a close associate, Biggie. They told the lawyer that Biggie had asked them to look after Lodi Mack now that he was out of prison. Lodi Mack, grateful for the supposed help and thinking a friend was looking out for him, agreed to meet up with them. Tragically, this led to his demise. This was just the beginning of the chaos Jimmy Henchman unleashed on Tony Yayo and 50 Cent. The first time Jimmy tried to kill 50 Cent was pretty wild. He was driving down Manhattan's West Side Highway and decided to take his hand off the wheel to grab his gun. As he was
All right, folks, I don't want to go through the whole entire history here. I think we saw the bulk of Flacco's video that we need to see at this point. That's 11 minutes and 54 seconds. King exposing this paperwork. Most of us are familiar with this paperwork from back in the day. It's really nothing new. Claims that it's fake, claims that there's no docket number. I can't validate. I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if 50 did that. It wouldn't surprise me if anyone cooperated to get out of spending major time in prison, because prison is not the happiest place on earth. Let's put it that way. It ain't Disneyland. I hope to never, ever, ever see the inside of a prison. No. I visited a jail on a school field trip one time, and that was enough to convince me to never, ever want to be anywhere near jail or prison. Neither one, okay? I think they should take every kid in America to a max prison and let them see what it looks like to keep their butts out of it. But of course, we, in America, we like sending people to prison more than we like helping people and rehabilitating. Building on that story, T.I. versus 50 Cent, we're gonna move to our next video featuring our man, Antonio Speaks. Antonio is a brilliant young creator. Again, this is from his second channel, Antonio Talks. I'm not sure which is first or which is second, but either way, either channel, they're both the same brilliant guy. Make sure you head to Antonio Talks and Antonio Speaks. Of course, the video we looked at prior to this was Poetic Flacco. That's Poetik, Flacco with 2 Ks on YouTube. So, without further ado, let's hear what Antonio has to say about 50 Cent in his video titled The Truth About 50 Cent. Let's spin the clip.
50 Cent, man. Let's talk about Brody. I want to give him his flowers first. 50 Cent is solidified in the rap game. He's a legend in my opinion. Growing up, Pops used to love him, so his music was played through the households. Me personally, I loved him because of his video games. These are certified hood classics, man. If you know, you know. Even his sponsors, you know, the vitamin waters, bro. We used to drink those. Like, we used to really rock with 50 Cent. Now, as I get older though, and I just see some of the things, you know, is involving himself in, I become more and more disappointed. He is always beefing with someone. Now, y'all know I gotta go deep and I gotta make this about race, but he's always beefing with. This is symbolic of just how us black people are with each other. Obviously not all of us, but growing up in the inner city, you see how a lot of young black men will have so much animosity for each other. Just walking down the street, you mugging. But then you see a white man, whatever other race, and you give them the utmost respect. You'll say, excuse me, how you doing, sir? Like things of that nature. Even going to California, like the whole check-in culture. These niggas make other rappers, other niggas check in to areas that they don't have any type of money ties to. They don't own it. But these rich ass white billionaires, they'll look at you stupid if you ask them that question, right? You get what I'm saying? Like, I hate it, bro. I hate it. This goes back to slavery. You know what I'm saying? The Willie Lynch letter people say is false, but you just see how, shit, we are at constant.
All right, I gotta pause on the check-in item. It's G code. If you are claiming to be a gangster rapper, if you're claiming to be from the streets, claiming a set, and in these days and age, this day and age, you can be a Blood from Philadelphia, you can be a Crip from, you know, New York City or DC. All that stuff is possible these days. For real, for real. So if you are a gangster rapper from any other city, it's just like being a gang member from any other city. When you land in the hood, you better know where you are, and you better check in with the local affiliates so they know you're there. Because anything you do is going to come back on them, and they know that as well. So I'm not advocating gang culture. I'm just saying that this is what it's been for a very long time. If you're coming from out of town, you don't just show up in somebody's territory without either, hey fam, I'm here, or even, unfortunately, paying homage through a tithe. Gangster shit is dirty. So you might have to pay a tax if you want to perform in LA. If you want to perform in the 60s, you might have had to pay a tax to Big U. Kind of how it is, but that's really no different than Al Capone or any other gangster shit if you're on the gangster side of things. Now, if you just, you know, a regular rapper, a regular guy, you ain't really involved in stuff like that, you really ain't got nothing to worry about, because you ain't flashing and moving like that and attracting the wrong attention. Nobody in LA is gonna mess with you. But if they see you talking that gangster shit and you come to LA and you don't check in and you run around town, you know, showing off or acting a fool, or they catch wind of where you are, we all see what happens. You gotta have local protection in some of these cities if you're playing that game. That's just the bottom line. I know Antonio, I think he's from South Carolina. Not a whole big gang thing in South Carolina, but if you've ever lived in, you know, cities with big gangs, then you kind of know. You know the deal. Let's spin the clip.
War with each other. While on the other hand, man, you still got black men being lynched in 2026. We still got sundowns in 2026. George Zimmerman's still alive. And I am not inciting violence, YouTube. But in short, I wish that we would have more grace with each other. And, you know, use that animosity to other things. I'ma just say that. Now, this has been all over the internet so far, man. 50 Cent and T.I. They are beefing right now. Now, this whole thing started because T.I., you know, he wanted to do a versus battle against 50 Cent. 50 Cent basically ignored him, and T.I., you know, felt some type of way. So he hopped on an interview stating it again. 50 Cent did some absolute loser shit to me, man. He posted T.I.'s wife, who had nothing to do with the beef. So this ended up escalating things, and T.I.'s son, you know, he came out and had this to say.
Post a picture of your mama. She dead. Hey, respect, nigga. Stop playing with my mama. Ain't playing like that. It ain't going.
I feel like everybody should come like that behind their mom.
I'm not raised like that. I don't go. I'm not going about my mama. I'm not going. So tell your I'ma dig her ass up and post a picture that look better than my mama, nigga. Fuck wrong with you? Y'all better tie y'all shoes. Y'all don't know who y'all fucking with.
See, I'm gonna pause for a second because I made a video responding to RG3 and Greta Griffin when they were talking about Cam Newton. They were responding to Cam Newton about the value of women. And here's a perfect example. This young man probably goes around calling B's and H's all day long. But say one thing about his mama, and all of a sudden her value is through the roof. She's sky high valuable because she gave birth to him. She's sky high valuable. But every other B and H out there is just a B and H, and they need to be valued on X, Y, Z, and the third. Man, we have to look at all women as somebody's daughter, somebody's mother, somebody's sister, but most of all, as worthy individuals until they prove themselves otherwise. Okay, we're attracted to whatever we're attracted to, but we can't go around devaluing women and degrading women the way 50 Cent is doing with Tiny. I never liked what people do when it comes to Tiny. Yeah, all right, we can make fun here and there, I suppose. It shouldn't be done either way, but you know, Tiny has taken the plastic surgery route very far, and I think that's somewhat fair game. But what 50's doing and his intentions, they're ill-intentioned, and he has to live with the consequences. But let's hear what Antonio had to say.
You better put that music up, shut the fuck up, cause all that shit ain't gonna get on my mother. Your mama dead.
On my mama.
Dig that bitch up, straight like that. Your son don't love you. You don't got no family. You not loved. You rich, but you not loved. Money means nothing without no one to spend it with. Your son don't love you. And just for talking about my mama, I was slap got that. Just cause he share the same blood as you. I don't give a.
For the record, King did apologize to Marquise Jackson, 50's estranged son, which needs to be noted. He does have an estranged 20-something-year-old son that he has nothing to do with. In fact, Marquise might be 30 by now.
Man, at the end of the day, I don't play by my mama. I don't play by my mama. I'm just trying to raise. I wasn't raised by y'all father. My dad is TIP, tip. That's how I'm raised. I don't play like this.
So T.I. ended up also responding with like a video of him with his family. He has his mom right here, his wife. And like I say, bro, me personally, this was always my goal. I always wanted a family. Some people don't want a family, but my whole thing is, right, if you got money, you can enjoy it. You can have a great life. But as you get older, I mean, the money shit just becomes irrelevant to you. You want to be around people that love you. You know what I'm saying? A partner, a wife, whatever you want to do. You don't even have to have kids, but just people around you that love you. And the way I see it, man, 50 Cent, bro, he has all the money in the world. He's rich as hell. His oldest son doesn't really have a relationship with him. He's always just beefing into drama. And it's like, bro, as I get older, dog, that shit is lame. Now, another beef that 50 Cent was involved in this month is with the rapper Jim Jones. Now, the reason these two are beefing is because a few months ago, whatever, he dropped a whole documentary about Diddy. Jim Jones had critique of it. And you know, me personally, I kind of felt the same way. Obviously, what Diddy did was horrible. I am not condoning it, and I want to get that point across. But like I said, they love to use black people as the scapegoat. What Diddy did was nothing comparable to what these people do in the industry all the time. Instead of 50 Cent dropping a documentary on Diddy, why didn't he drop a documentary on Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein? But this is the thing, man. All of these elites, they'll
We know why 50 Cent dropped the doc flick on Diddy. Because Diddy turned his BM out. Diddy had his baby mama doing nasty things. From what I understand, she still is.
let you fight with each
Allegedly.
other. But if you try to talk shit against them, oh yeah, they can put you in your place, boy. Fuck wrong with you? Yeah, you don't play with us. That's how they treat him. And that's how I see 50 Cent. He's bullying all these other black people. My nigga, you are close to a billionaire. Like, get on some of these rich ass white elites. I would love that. But you know, these niggas, they can't. They write the checks for them. They would never, you know, try to argue with them.
50 Cent stays making it clear that he is one man that you are never gonna want to have beef with. 50 Cent just released the craziest videos of Jim Jones trying to kick down doors where he held his podcast after his lease was terminated. These videos of Jim Jones doing this is something that could potentially send him to jail. You remember back in December, 50 Cent told Jim Jones that he was going to buy the property where Jim Jones holds his podcast. December, he said, "I didn't have this on my list of things to do, but if you insist, I'll make time. I'm working on buying the space where you film and 50% of your podcast. You know I don't cap." And let me tell you, this man was not playing when he says, "I don't cap."
This video is crazy. How the hell did he even get this video? Nah, this shit right here could send him to jail though. 50, that's kind of, hey.
That's attempted breaking and entering. And if you succeeded, which I believe he did, that's breaking and entering.
Damn, this was a few days ago too. Man.
Then you gonna mess around and break one of them old ass ankles.
Damn,
Getting a
bro.
workout.
That door's strong as hell, bro. God damn.
He trying to kick all the
Nigga, I need to
doors.
reinforce my house with them damn doors.
You know?
Oh, he kicked that one. Did he kick that one
50
open? No, he
Cent
didn't.
also put up the termination notice of Jim Jones' lease with these insane videos of Jim Jones doing this. 50 Cent also posted a photo with the owner of the property, and he said, "Sam is my partner. I own the joint. Now you're gonna fix every door that you kick, or I'm gonna kick your Jimmy."
Yeah, this is just corny. Just look at him, bro. All buddy. I mean, it's nothing against Asians. You know what I'm saying? I love everybody. But like I say, just look at this nigga, bro. He's never beefing with nobody else. Floyd Mayweather, Jim Jones, T.I. Just all black men. But all buddy, nilly with everybody else.
On Monday,
I am not going to defend 50 Cent. Mr. Trump. I'm not. He's a Trumper. So, fuck him. If you're a Trumper, same to you.
destroying my property. Mind you, this whole escalation of beef between Jim Jones and 50 Cent came because of the Diddy documentary. Jim Jones was criticizing 50 Cent's Diddy documentary, calling it a mockumentary. 50 Cent obviously wasn't having it. He said, "I understand that Diddy was your hero. Stay down with him. I don't care if you let him play with your butt and then act like you don't remember." And then 50 Cent made it very clear that he was going to buy the property where Jim Jones held his podcast. And now, according to 50 Cent, this is exactly what happened. But y'all, let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments.
Let me know what y'all think about all this, bro. 50 Cent, like I said, growing up, loved him. But as I get older, man, this nigga is kind of a loser. Just going back to what 50 Cent, symbolizes. Like, we can bully each other, we can antagonize each other, but never antagonize the oppressor, the higher ups. Just taking a look back at the whole British Academy Awards thing. On the stage was Michael B. Jordan and Darren Orlando. Michael B. Jordan is a black American. Darren Orlando, a black Britishman. Two different diasporas. Everyone still sees him the same, as a nigga. That's why I never get into these diaspora wars. That shit can never trick me. Every other day I'm seeing different motherfuckers beef online, other black people beefing online about shit that doesn't matter. I'm every nigga. But that's it for this video, man. I hope y'all enjoyed. If y'all want to see something...
That's our man Antonio of Antonio Talks and Antonio Speaks. Make sure you check him out. Subscribe to his YouTube channel if you're unfamiliar or unacquainted. Again, Antonio Talks and Antonio Speaks, the truth about 50 Cent. We got more for you tonight, folks. We got a lot more. Thanks for watching. Hey, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe button. Pardon me for scrolling my eyes around as I queue up the next video we're going to review in this show. Man, oh man, we're gonna get into the heavy stuff now, all right? We got a unaccountable, masked, secret police, armed to the teeth, behaving like a military, roaming the American streets in 2026. They have killed innocent civilians. They've killed people incidentally and accidentally. And now we learn of a case from our man Kyle Kulinski and others of a man who ICE literally left to freeze to death. And there will be no repercussions for their actions. Let's go ahead and spin that clip, folks. It's disgusting.
Here, Griffin, this is like every now and then, not every now and then, basically every week you come across a story about ICE just like being absolutely satanic. And this is one example here. Nurul Amin Shah Alam, a nearly blind refugee from Burma who Border Patrol agents dropped off at a donut shop Thursday and left to find his way home 5 miles away, has been found dead. His family was not notified of his release. Police are investigating. So this is, we've seen like a number of examples of things this depraved, whether it's like tear gassing babies or running people over with your car and doing a hit and run, or covering your face and committing murders in Minnesota, or literally there's evidence they lynched somebody in one of their concentration camps. This stuff never ends. And when you see stuff like this, to not take the abolish ICE position is just frankly inexcusable at this point. Like, if you're a Democrat and you're not saying abolish ICE, you just need to step aside and get out of politics, because that's the only way forward.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and also it's like you look at those warehouses, it's like those aren't just for the immigrants. Just to FYI.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And SPM 7, they're coming after dissidents, anybody who disagrees with MAGA.
Yeah, I do ice watches in LA, so we go and we like have whistles and we're at like Home Depots, and it's like every day. It's crazy. And you know, it's kind of like unbelievable, and like all you can do is try to like get their name before they're like grabbed into a car. You know, you try to get their name and their date of birth, so you can have some info, so you can even find these people. Because a lot of the people go missing. So that's wild. And like to Crystal's point earlier, it's like a lot of the guys are like been there for like 10 years or something. Like didn't happen overnight. And I think like these guys need to be punished in a very severe way. But some people are saying death penalty. I haven't fully decided, but it's like the guys who killed like Alex Preddy and Renee Good. If you don't like,
let me just stop there and say that I'm against the death penalty because it typically gets misapplied against black men. We're the most killed by the state and the most falsely killed by the state. So I'd rather, if you're gonna punish people, prison for the rest of their life is torture enough. State executions, state-sponsored killings, we have a problem. We're developing a real serious problem with that in America. Now, we all understand the need to use lethal force at times in police actions, but it's becoming such an American hobby to just shoot first, ask questions last. People want to protest, shoot them. I mean, it's getting bad. Our civil liberties are eroding. But let's spin this clip.
Do like a massive public punishing of these guys. These guys are like ready to come back. Like there's like a latent group of them in the country that are gonna do this all over again for Mr. Marco Rubio and he's El Presidente. So it can't just be reforming. It has to be like fucking public punishments. Like it has to be wild, you know. It has to be like the Game of Thrones scene with Cersei for those guys.
Get medieval.
Shame. Yeah.
I mean, I agree. Like, and it has to be not only them, but the people who gave the orders, you know, who set up the system. And it is stories like this that give me also confidence that there's not going to be any de-radicalizing anytime soon in opposition to it, because most people just see this and are like so utterly horrified that it's beyond belief. I mean, we were debating earlier, like being nice to robots. Like, I feel bad when I'm like mean to a clinker, you know, and you're treating a human being like this disabled man, you drop him off 5 miles from home with no ability for him to find his way home. He can't see anything. And then, of course, predictably, like anyone would predict, that him dying in that situation would be a possibility. So, of course, there should be some sort of penalty for that. And, you know.
I don't think they said, but they dropped this man off, I think, in the Buffalo area when it was freezing cold outside, 5 miles from home. I'm pretty sure it was the Buffalo area, but we'll see if they actually say it.
They obviously know what they're doing is horrible and evil and enjoys no public support, which is why they, you know, mask up and don't want to be identified. So, yeah, I mean, what do you say at a certain point? It's just so sickening. And people who think that this is only going to be about some certain undesirable population, like, they're fools. The whole reason this man, by the way, was set loose is because they had no way, like, he was here legally. You know, he had a legal claim. They couldn't arrest him. They couldn't deport him. And so rather than, oh my God, I'm sorry, sir, he gets dropped off and ultimately ends up dead.
Did you see the ICE whistleblower the other day who testified in front of Congress and was like, dude, they're telling me to instruct people to violate the Constitution. They're telling me to tell them that you don't need a warrant in order to go into somebody's house.
Right.
Like, here you have somebody who worked for ICE, who trained people, who said they completely revamped everything to specifically make it so they break the law on purpose. And like, what do you do with that? Like, what you do with that is, like you said, Griffin, you got to go in with a sledgehammer, bro. You got to make it so that this never, ever, 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 ever happens again. And whatever it takes,
draw a hard line.
Yeah, that's the number one litmus test for 2028.
See, this is why we're in huge trouble as a country right now, because the other side, they know this. They know that if they ever let go of power again, we're going to put every last one of them in jail. They know that if the other side is ever in power again, we're going to take all their money. We're going to take all their family's money. There will be, if we get the corporatists out of the way, there could be a financial revolution in this country in no time. In my opinion, that's what's most needed, a financial revolution. But because the Republican side is aware that the backlash from this Trump administration is going to be so severe because of the way that they're playing, it tells me that they don't plan on ever relinquishing power again. That's what it tells me. They're acting like they will never have to give up the throne. And believe me, if they do, the pendulum's gonna swing hard as hell. Harder than hell. So this is not good. And I believe that the Republican Party, Donald Trump, via ICE, is determined to ensure that they stay in power by force. And where does that lead us to but either secession movements or civil war, and or both? So this is exactly how countries dissolve. This is exactly how democracies fail or fail. Our democracy has already failed. It is literally a failed democracy, evolving into a full-fledged autocracy and oligarchy. It's been an oligarchy for some time, but we're a failed democracy. So my outlook is not very good. And incidents like what we're seeing with this man from Burma, this Burmese man being allowed to freeze to death in the cold winter of New York, is just showing the reaches of inhumanity. They left this man outside of a coffee shop at 8 p.m. when it was closed at 7. They left him out there by himself, barely clothed, at 8 p.m. after the coffee shop closed. They had no intention of taking him home 5 miles, knowing he was blind and mildly, couldn't speak English. I won't call the man disabled, but blind and couldn't speak English. And this is how they're treating people in our country, and we're paying for it. I'm outraged. I'm absolutely outraged, but let's spin the clip.
To me, is like, you cannot do the Obama thing after George W. Bush and Dick Cheney, where we look forward, we don't look backwards. You have to do the, nah, bro, you're all going down. I mean, Jack Smith literally said we had Trump dead to rights. And Trump himself was allegedly saying behind the scenes to people in his cabinet that Jack Smith had him dead to rights, that he was going to go to prison, right? So here's a guy who knows that he committed a number of crimes, trying to steal the election, all the classified documents bullshit, and he's now running the country. And it's like, it's more of a cartel and a criminal regime than it is a government. I mean, the hundreds of millions of dollars that he stole from Venezuela, their oil, putting it in a private bank account in Qatar. This shit is so mobbed up and insane that if I told you 5 years ago this was gonna happen, you'd be like, nah, even he wouldn't do that. That shit is crazy. They're doing it. It's all happening here. And I think the comparison of ICE to the Gestapo or to the Nazis, I just think it's appropriate at this point. I think it's kind of crazy to not acknowledge the parallels that are there.
It absolutely is.
Yeah, and this is why we can't give up on cancel culture, because Trump has been put out of reach in terms of being able to actually prosecute him.
For now.
I think probably forever. Like, I don't have hope that we're going to be able to, given what the Supreme Court has done, going to be able to actually prosecute him and ever see him behind bars. So it needs to be like a massive amount of social shame and stigma and some sort of public, retribution against anyone who has anything to do with him, right? Post-presidency, like if he's still alive and kicking, if you go to Mar-a-Lago, like you should be treated like you're the Epstein class, because you are, right? You should be kicked, lose your job. Agreed. You shouldn't be allowed in polite society. You should be ridiculed. People should be disgusted with you. Like, there has to be some drawing of boundaries to put the society back together. There has to be whatever legal consequences that we can exact against the people that don't get pardoned by Trump on his way out and whatever. We've got to do that. And then we need massive social shame and stigma so that people know, like, these views are not acceptable. We're putting them back in the dustbin of history where they belonged.
Yeah, and something that's funny I thought about recently is like, you know, the ICE guys are kind of acting like this because they like have this weird sense of online since Elon shifted like Twitter to be so rightoid that they think that more of the country's like with them, which is why I think that they like kind of walk around like desperados everywhere because they like go online and they see like Asmongold or like the epic MAGA based accounts like at the top of the feeds with a lot of it.
I think it's more than that, man. I think these people are, again, intent on staying in power and not ever transferring power back peacefully. We had a president of the United States order a mob after his own vice president, and we allowed that man to get reelected? The lack of accountability in this country is astonishing. For anybody that doesn't look like me, or Jose, or Akbar, if you catch my drift. But man, how do y'all just get away with this stuff, man? I mean, I don't want to go too deep into politics tonight, I really don't. So we're gonna keep it moving. We got 2 more stories left tonight. We're gonna lighten things up just a little bit. Related to the last one, Stephen A. Smith getting cracked on about ICE. This is courtesy of our man AT2. Let's see what this man, AT2, another great content creator on YouTube, let's see what he had to say in his video. Stephen A. Smith's ICE take is going viral for the wrong reasons. Let's spin that clip.
Important for Stephen A. Smith to actually fact check the things that he's saying instead of just blurting out anything. Again, he doesn't care because technically he likes being booked on these shows so he can enrich his own pockets. Honestly, I don't even think it's about the money. I think it's about Stephen A.'s ego because he believes that he's right, but he's actually wrong. Let's go ahead and play this segment of where he's talking about ICE. And I want to go ahead and fact check the misinformation that he's given in this interview. Here we go, you guys.
Talking. Yeah, you're talking about the border. Yeah, the border needed to be closed, but that was because Biden opened it. If Biden had it open, then it followed Obama, who deported more people than Trump did. In Obama's term in office, over 3.1 million people were deported. How come you didn't follow that, Joe Biden? How come you didn't follow that, Democrats? How come it was okay to celebrate ICE at that particular time when when Obama was in office, and you had networks literally traveling with ICE to show you the marvelous work that they were doing, but suddenly Trump is doing it, and now...
Was ICE violating policy? Was ICE violating procedure? Were they violating due process? Were they committing violence all over the place? No, none of that stuff was happening under Obama. None of it.
It's a pariah, and ICE needs to go, and it needs to be completely banned. Why are sanctuary cities existing? Why is that? Why do you get to, implement laws that could get you to ignore federal laws? How is that? How does that benefit our country? I'm saying to ask ourselves these questions, to see the difference between a Gavin Newsom and a Governor DeSantis, to see the difference between,
All right, folks, let's take 2 seconds. Pardon me, I'm gonna go back to my main screen here. Let's take 2 seconds and ask Google Gemini what Stephen A. Smith should have said before he opened his mouth. Why in the United States are sanctuary cities permitted? Let's see if hopefully this will be in a position where it's visible, may or may not be. What it's thinking. I got it on the thinking slow thing, okay. Sanctuary cities are permitted, unless I do another screen share, you're not gonna see it, so I'll just read. Sanctuary cities are permitted in the United States primarily because of a constitutional concept known as the anti-commandeering doctrine, which is rooted in the 10th Amendment. In short, the federal government has the power to make and enforce immigration laws, but it cannot force state and local governments to do the work for them. The 10th Amendment and dual sovereignty. The United States Constitution creates a system of dual sovereignty where the federal government and state governments have their own separate spheres of power. Under the 10th Amendment, any powers not specifically given to the federal government are reserved for the states. This includes police power, the authority to manage local law enforcement, public safety, and health. Donald Trump is intruding upon that local authority, but if he's going to, he cannot force local authorities to act. Okay, so we discussed the 10th Amendment and the dual sovereignty doctrine, or dual sovereignty. The anti-commandeering doctrine. The Supreme Court has ruled repeatedly that the federal government cannot commandeer or hijack state or local resources to carry out federal programs. Sounds like something Donald Trump would and has tried to do. For example, LAPD. You cannot commandeer LAPD to do this work for you. Okay, they tried that. Key case, Prince versus United States in 1997. The court ruled that the federal government could not force local sheriffs to perform background checks on handgun purchasers. Justice Antonin Scalia wrote that the federal government cannot conscript state officers into its service. Antonin Scalia, the bastard who brought you this fascism, supports it. The sanctuary connection. Because immigration enforcement is a federal responsibility, local police are not legally required to spend their own time, money, or manpower to help federal agents like ICE identify or detain undocumented immigrants. So Donald Trump cannot force them to do it. Non-cooperation versus obstruction. There is a critical legal distinction between a city refusing to help and a city actively blocking the federal government. What's permitted is non-cooperation. We spoke how that works. What's not permitted is obstruction. In other words, the city or the state or local authority can't stop the federal agency from making arrests or pursuing people. The power of the purse. While the federal government can't force cooperation, it often tries to bribe it. Donald Trump certainly does that. He tries to withhold funding to create policy in your state if he disagrees with you. He's trying to do it with Oregon. He's been trying to do it with us since the beginning. All right. The Department of Justice sometimes threatens to withhold federal grants, like the Burn JAG public safety grant, from cities that don't share information with immigration authorities. In other words, forced cooperation against the anti-commandeering doctrine, against the 10th Amendment and dual sovereignty, and those things that we spoke of. However, courts have often blocked these attempts, ruling that the conditions must be related to the grant's purpose and not unconstitutionally coercive, which in this case they are. Sanctuary cities exist because the Constitution protects states from being forced to act as an arm of federal law enforcement. But stupid ass Stephen A. Smith won't take the time to do what I did. I'm not going to call myself stupid or nothing like that. I'm an MBA, I'm a professional. But Stephen A. Smith claims he wants to run for president, then he gets up in public and says dumb shit like that without taking 5 minutes to read. Nobody's going to take you seriously. You get on the debate stage with somebody like me, Stephen A. Smith, I will break your ass down. All right, I will break you down quickly. Let's spin the clip.
Josh Shapiro and Greg Abbott, to know these kind of things, I think are things that enlighten us as American citizens. And I know that I'm no aficionado, but in the same breath, I read and I'm a conscientious observer and I care. So when I ask a question.
But here's the thing, if you read, you would know better, which you do not know better.
Break it down.
And this is the main issue that I have with Stephen A. Smith, because he doesn't know. And it's not like he's asking the professionals like, hey, can you help me to understand this? Mind you, he has the money and the resources. You can't tell me.
You don't need money and resources. My subscription to Google Gemini is $9.99 a month, I believe. Something like that. $9.99, $10 a month.
that he doesn't have a staff who can give him proper information. It's the fact that he doesn't give a damn. Because one thing that I can tell you about ICE is that the issue is that one, they're not going through the courts. They're just going and snatching up people that
Body
they deem
snatchers.
illegal.
Slave catchers.
You know, they deem these people, oh, they have some kind of paperwork going on. Oh, we can get them. We can snatch them up. Sometimes they don't even have a warrant because now with the Lincoln Riley Act, they can literally racial profile you. There's even ICE agents doing traffic stops, which that's not what they're supposed to be doing at all. And they can literally ask for your ID, see who you are, look you up, and all that. They don't have to follow any protocol.
That's local
and
law
the fact that
enforcement. They're not
these
supposed to be doing
agents
that.
are quickly hired and then put out in the workforce so quickly after 45 days because Trump was the 45th president. So now they can go into the field within 45 days.
47,
like that's
but,
crazy.
yeah.
Like there's no actual time for training. These are just random people who they put out in the streets and they literally act like some kind of terrorist organization. You see them yelling, cussing, being forceful, violent with so many civilians. It's crazy. It's literally crazy. Like it is not normal.
Every damn
and Stephen A. Smith want to say, oh, well, no one cared when Obama was doing it, blah, blah, blah. Yes, Obama did deport more people.
Stephen A. Smith is a duplicitous snake, and he always has been. He is a black Republican trying to pose as a black Democrat, liberal, centrist, what have you. All of his friends are Republicans. Sean Hannity's my friend. Donald Trump's my friend. All his friends are Republicans. All his ideals and ideas are Republican, but somehow he's a centrist Democrat. Fuck out of here, Stephen A. Smith. We know what you are. Tether ass.
Than Trump and Biden. However, we're not taking into account that that Obama went through the courts. Obama followed the laws. Obama followed the process. Yes, there was a video where you seen somebody following around ICE agents while they were doing warrant checks and stops and stuff like that. You did see that. However, what you did not see was people being shot, beaten. You weren't seeing that. They're not going out in the middle of the streets, literally terrorizing neighborhoods. Like, that's not what you seen. It was very calculated operations.
Mm-hmm.
And these were people that were actually thoroughly trained. You know, it used to take, 6 months to actually train agents. Now with the 45-day rule, like, you can't get no.
I'm gonna let you know what ICE is, man. It's nothing but Donald Trump's paid paramilitary to violate your civil rights and the civil rights of American immigrants. That's all ICE is. We just allowed ourselves to have national police. The FBI has a limited scope and a limited purpose. It does not act like national police. It does not. Now we have a Stasi. We have a secret, unaccountable national police, and it ought to terrify everyone. It ought to terrify everyone. You've seen the movies. You've seen what happened in Nazi Germany. This is the Fourth Reich. And we're acting like everything's cool, everything's normal. This motherfucker just started a war with Iran. It ain't gonna go well. It ain't. It ain't. He's gonna be trying to declare wartime powers and we need to suspend elections and this and that. We are dealing with the absolute worst catastrophe in the history of the United States, and everyone is just like flipping channels and what's on Netflix. It's astonishing. We went to war. This is a country that goes to war and almost nothing changes in our daily lives. Almost nothing. And I think that eventually that's going to run out. And I believe Donald Trump is the person to bring that about. And I believe Iran is the hornet's nest you didn't want to stir up. They have no problem with terrorism. They have no problem with using dirty bombs and nukes against anyone. Now, the reason we invaded Iran, according to what I heard, was that Benjamin Netanyahu told Donald Trump that he was going to use nuclear weapons if Donald Trump didn't do something about Iran. So this weakling president of ours let the real power of the world, Netanyahu, twist his arm into a conflict that the United States has managed to stay out of for decades. Because wiser presidents know that it's going to cost a lot of American lives and a lot of American treasure. But this fool, he's going to bankrupt us. We're going to be one broke-ass country by the time he's done.
Proper training. Again, a lot of people don't like when you say they're law enforcement, because they actually aren't law enforcement. But I think because of the confusion that happens with police brutality and other things, this is why we just say they're law enforcement. We just all kind of blanket them. And it's unfortunate because, again, there's actually police departments who have changed policies and tried to repair the relationship with the neighborhood and communities. But now you have them tied in with these ICE agents. I'm sorry, it's kind of like when they say, when there's one bad apple, it spoils the bunch, right? But also when Stephen A. Smith was mentioning about sanctuary cities, they love to mention that, like, oh, you got these sanctuary cities, they don't want to help ICE and anything like that. Now, here's the thing. More ICE agents or more, more ICE agents in the community or out in the streets do not make it safer. Obviously, we've seen what happened in Minnesota, right? That did not make it safer. If anything, it made it more dangerous, especially because people lost their lives. It made it more dangerous. So with that, knowing that fact, we can go ahead and safely assume, okay, that doesn't work either. But with the sanctuary cities, that's to protect any undocumented people who have a fear about reporting crimes, who have a fear about going to the doctor, who have a fear about putting their name in any kind of system, and fear of being deported. Because again, what they want is just a list of all undocumented people, talking about the government, right? DHS. They want a list of undocumented people so they can come snatch them up and deport them. Mm-hmm. But if you're a contributing member of society, why should you be deported? You should just be deported just because? You know what I mean? And again, the number of criminals that are undocumented, there's not this large number of 11 million criminals that need to be deported. If you look at the actual statistics compared to undocumented compared to citizens, the citizens overwhelmingly make up more for all the crimes and disparities. Like,
no doubt.
Immigrants, no, they don't. Like, you cannot make that argument that these undocumented people are causing all the crimes and all that, right? But then again, this is why they have the sanctuary cities, because what if it's a domestic violence situation? The woman or the man might not want to report because they're in fear of being deported themselves, not just the agitator, but the actual person, the victim, might be afraid to actually report it. So again, it keeps the...
And that's the same reason we want people to be able to get a driver's license by the state. We want them to be able to get insurance because they're on the roads. You pay for insurance, they need to pay for insurance too. You pay for driver's license, taxes and fees that go to that license, that go to help build and maintain and support the roads. They need to do the same thing, but Americans are so mean and cruel sometimes that we want to punish people. Oh, you crossed the border illegally. Man, of all the crimes in the world, crossing a land border, the friendliest crime in the world, in my opinion, unless you're coming with ill intent. And, this is the language of invasion needs to be wrought with ill intent. It's not an invasion if people migrate to your country. That's called migration. An invasion is ill intent, mass people moving with a purpose to attack something in your society. That is not what's going on with these people. A lot of people thought they were going to be all these violent criminals, and they're arresting your neighbors and people you rely on to feed you and take care of your kids and stuff. I mean, it's ridiculous what's going on in this country. Absolutely ridiculous. But let's spin the clip and finish hearing what AT2 had to say. It's about 4.5 more minutes left in this clip. Looks like the Lakers are finally able to beat somebody tonight. 129-101 against Golden State. I just saw that score. Make sure you leave a comment. Chat room is empty. I'm looking at it. Hit the like button, notification bell, all that good stuff. Make sure you subscribe to Pass the Joint Podcast. Let's hear what AT2 had to say.
Undocumented person safe, and it also keeps, ICE out the streets, because obviously we've seen that they weren't out here killing undocumented immigrants, which I'm not saying that's right either. They were killing citizens, U.S. citizens.
For protesting.
Keith Porter, Alex Preddy, Renee Good. And now there was a special education teacher who just lost her life too as well. So is it really improving the safety of the community? And again, going back to this point about, no one cared when Obama was doing it. That's not true, because Obama was heavily criticized. He was called the deporter in chief because he was deporting a lot of people.
Yep. And I was with
him. But again, he went through the courts. He went through the judges, which makes it a hell of a lot different than putting people in basically, I would call a detention camp. I don't know what else you call it.
You call it a concentration camp because that's what they are. Concentration camps of undocumented immigrants, and some Americans are in there too. We hear about Americans in these camps every day. Every day. It's disgusting. Why are you buying warehouses? Why is DHS buying warehouses all over this country? Are they going to put ovens and gas chambers in these warehouses? Is that what they're going to do with your money? Are they going to start executing people en masse to save money on deportations? You all better start asking these questions, because we're dealing with the American Hitler. We're dealing with the American Hitler. J.D. Vance himself posited the question of whether or not Donald Trump was the American Hitler. I think we all know the answer now.
The conditions are horrible. People are not getting access to health care like they should. There was even a story last night that I heard watching the People's Union on Joy Reid's channel, where there's someone who's suffering from cancer and they are not getting treatment, and they're trying to help get their loved one out of a detention camp. So again, Stephen A. Smith just rambles off a lot of stuff and not actually look up the information, which again, he has the money, he has the access, and he has the resources to actually get experts on his show.
Absolutely.
To actually educate him, to actually tell him what's going on. But throwing this whole, these sanctuary cities are protecting criminals. Is that an anecdote, or do you actually know that for a fact? Did you look at the statistics and go like, oh yes, it's all these criminals and all the criminals are undocumented? Listen, if there was truly an influx of 11 million undocumented criminals in the United States, I guarantee you martial law would have been called by now.
No.
It would have been called.
I'm going to disagree with AT2 there. We did have a serious influx of somewhere between 12 and 20 million immigrants during the Biden administration. It was true. Why they did it, I don't know. I'll speculate, okay, and this is only my speculation. The United States relies on cheap labor, cheap farm labor, cheap labor in general. It always has. And it relies on unskilled labor. And once a country starts becoming too educated, the educated folks don't want to do the dirty work. So you bring in immigrants to do the dirty work. And Joe Biden as president may have looked at what Obama did, what Trump did before him, and said, the unskilled labor pool is too small. These guys overcorrected. We need to let some flow back in the country. I don't know. I'm speculating again if that was his reason. Personally, he probably should have done it a lot slower if he was going to do that and say, hey, bring in a couple or a million here, a million there, etc. Or allow that process to happen a lot slower. But for whatever reason, Joe Biden allowed the floodgates to be open. And I don't agree with that necessarily. I think that the American economy should not run off of cheap immigrant labor, I think there's a place for immigrants, of course. In America, there always has been and there always should be, but to be dependent upon the labor of the most desperate people in the world is not, I don't want to say it's not fair. If you're offering them a better life, perhaps it's fair in that regard, but it's not the most secure thing in the world. And I like to think that we could feed and clothe ourselves if need be. The argument being that if Americans do these things, the prices would go too far and we're all poor because of it. But wouldn't we also be making more, and wouldn't those wages eventually reach the new equilibrium with the production? I don't know. I'm not a Keynesian economist. I studied economics a little bit in business school, but it seems to me that Americans could and should do their own production to the degree that it's effective and profitable. I have nothing wrong with imports. I have nothing wrong with nothing against immigrants, but we should optimize that. So I have nothing against what Barack Obama did, but like I said, maybe he overcorrected, maybe Trump overcorrected, and Joe Biden found himself with a labor shortage in the fields and said, "Hey, we need some slaves. Let's let a couple million in," and it got out of hand. I don't know.
I can't imagine a whole bunch of black and brown people running around causing chaos in the streets, 11 million of them, and the government not do anything about it.
No.
If that was really true.
Yeah, if it was criminal.
Those numbers have been hyped up. They have been spiked to try to cause chaos and confusion. And it makes you look like, oh, I'm not getting ahead in life because of all these illegal, undocumented aliens over here, and they're taking our jobs, taking our resources, they're causing all the crime. I can't get any fair housing because of them. But really, it's the people in power. Really, it's the billionaires that are keeping us from being successful. You gotta have a poor and you gotta have a rich. Unfortunately, you have to have more poor than you can rich. But again, this is information that you can find. This is information that you can look up. Stephen A. Smith chooses not to.
Absolutely.
He chooses to be a blissful idiot.
Yep.
But hey, he makes more money than I do, so maybe I should just be stupid too, so I can get me $100 million contract. Y'all hit that like button.
That's the argument idiots will make. He got more money than you do. Money make you smart. Money make you smart because you got more money. That make you smart. No, it don't. No, it does not make you smarter because you have more money. There's a lot of dummies out here that either luck into money or inherit money or what have you. One-trick ponies, athletes. There's a lot of people out here who are not smart that end up with a lot of money. It happens. And there are some very smart people who do. It works both ways. Probably more so than it doesn't. I'm not saying Stephen A. Smith isn't smart. I'm saying Stephen A. Smith is intellectually lazy on purpose. Stephen A. Smith doesn't care. He's too busy to really be intellectual, to stop and listen to lectures, to understand nuance, to dig into statistics, even to ask Google Gemini for something. Too busy. I know. I get it. I absolutely get it. Stephen A. Smith, man, he's what you call an inch deep and a mile wide. Well, folks, that's our show for tonight. We got one last topic. I don't want to skip that. Sorry. Didn't mean to conclude early. We do have one more topic tonight that we're going to cover, and that is the Los Angeles Lakers and LeBron James. What's going on with the Lakers and old man Bron? Well, look, LeBron is hitting the wall pretty hard right about now. At age 41, those physical gifts are dwindling fast. We watched LeBron front rim a layup the other day. It was pretty bad. We got a choice here. I'm going to watch one, not both of these videos. I think we're going to go ahead and watch Scap Attack. LeBron James and Luka Doncic cannot coexist in LA. Let's go ahead and spin that clip and
Well, the
See what he
LA
has to
Lakers
say.
were in action again last night, and again they lose for the fourth time in their last 6 games now overall, dropping that one a 1-point heartbreaker to the Orlando Magic at home as 6.5-point favorites. And again, the LA Lakers were with a full complement of their pretty stacked looking NBA roster. More on that in a moment. This game did have a little bit of everything. It had LeBron James choking a free throw away with 44 seconds remaining, a miss, which kept the Lakers to just a 2-point lead instead of extending to a 3. So when Desmond Baines hit a 3-pointer at the other end, it ended up giving the Magic a 1-point lead. Not to worry though, because at the other end, Luka Doncic with an ace of a pass to LeBron James, who can still actually make an easy dunk or layup even in clutch time. I know it's hard to believe this guy makes any shots during clutch time, but if you give him the right opportunity, even he can make basically a wide open dunk. Thanks, Luka.
All right, I'm hard on Bron, but Scott is really hard on Bron. I enjoy it. I ain't gonna lie. I love it, but you'll never catch me being that hard on him.
Doncic for a perfect pass there to LeBron. However, Luka giveth and Luka taketh away. More on that in a moment. Because on the ensuing possession, the Orlando Magic's Wendell Carter Jr. would get an offensive rebound and score the basket to put the Magic up 110-109 with 6.7 seconds remaining. And look, this was a common theme last year for the LA Lakers. Rebounding in particular haunted them, and
if I'm not mistaken, Wendell Carter Jr. just got engaged to Angel Reese. Let me know if I'm tripping or not in the comments, but I'm pretty sure Angel Reese and Wendell Carter Jr. are engaged to be married.
They basically didn't even play a center for much of the second half of the year, and a lot of that first round loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves in the NBA playoffs. Jackson Hayes was really their only healthy center that they could utilize last year, and again, he logged minimal minutes in that postseason series. They got crushed on the glass by the Minnesota Timberwolves. That was an area that the Lakers figured to address when they picked up DeAndre Ayton in the offseason. And look, Ayton last night, for what it's worth, did have 13 rebounds, and he was on the floor for that last possession by the Magic. Ayton had an opportunity for the rebound, but he was kind of out of position. There was a battle. Wendell Carter ended up with it, and he gets the layup. But don't worry, Lakers fan, because JJ did have a timeout remaining to set up the final possession, and we'll hear from JJ in a moment. He was very satisfied with the look that they got. Luka Doncic with a look, a wide open look. But for whatever reason, Luka would pass up on that great look. Not only would he...
All right, I looked at this a couple times. Luka's about 4 feet behind the three-point line. 3 to 4 feet. So we're looking at about a 26-footer, roughly. I don't think he's that deep that he shouldn't take that shot, personally. I think Luka got caught slipping here. In fact, I know Luka got caught slipping, but let's look at it again briefly. Run it back.
And with the look that they got, Luka Doncic with a look, a wide open look. But for whatever reason, Luka would pass up on that great look. Not only would he pass up on it, he would give it to LeBron James of all people, and perhaps maybe Luka is just taking a page out of LeBron's book. Perhaps LeBron is rubbing off on Luka. Maybe Luka was just, making the right basketball play in clutch time and getting the ball out of his own hands, but he got it to LeBron, who had an even worse look.
That's some Bron sexual language he's using against LeBron. Talking about get the ball out of your hands and make the right play at the right time, as opposed to making the clutch play at the clutch time. He's throwing shade for real.
LeBron, who makes a career out of passing up last-second shots, got absolutely hung out to dry by Luka Doncic. And look, of course LeBron wasn't going to make that shot. LeBron doesn't want that shot. He doesn't take it.
Complain.
And look, LeBron has had a lot better
whining.
looks in clutch time than that he's passed up. That really was not a very good look, and it was a very bad decision by Luka Doncic. But again, Doncic was having a bad game last night. Perhaps that factored into it. Luka with just 22 points on 8 of 24 from the field last night overall. 22 points on 24 shots.
Didn't
and
stop
even
him
worse
from shooting the
from
other
the
24
3-point line.
shots.
Just 2 of 10 last night. So he was just wildly out of
1
rhythm
for 3 all
game.
night.
He was having one of the worst games
But
he's
he's gonna
had
pause
all
on
year
that
long, particularly from shooting distance. So perhaps it was just in his head a little bit on that final attempt, and he just didn't feel confident with it. So he passed it off to a guy who likely feels even less confident in his long shot, particularly with the game on the line. And that's what the Lakers get, a 110-109 loss. And after the game, Luka Doncic, look, he really didn't know what to say.
I know I was open, but I just thought I was a little bit far. Tried to take one dribble closer. Probably should have picked up the ball.
Yeah, bro was 4 feet out at most. So 26 to 27 feet at most. And there's no excuse for that. I don't know what he was thinking. Really, I don't. He was open. I think he was just being hesitant for whatever reason. Maybe he thought he had more time on the clock than he actually did. It's probably what it was. It's just clock management. But no excuse, man. No excuse.
Try to attack.
What?
I just thought I was a little bit far. I just thought I was a little bit far. I just thought I was a little bit far. I just thought I was a little bit far.
LeBron, meanwhile, was equally as confused as Luka Doncic was on the whole last shot situation.
No, we executed. Like I said, I felt like, I'm not sure. I mean, obviously you have to ask Luka what he saw on that, but I thought he had a good look, and it looked like he kind of just lost his balance. You know, didn't have a rhythm with the ball, whatever the case may be. And it kind of allowed him to get back in front of him. You know, I was kind of off balance when he gave it to me. I thought he had a great look, but no, that's what I looked. That's my POV.
And again, as I said, JJ felt good about the look that they got. He hadn't had an opportunity to talk to Luka yet on why he passed it up. Really just a state of confusion for all of the Lakers involved in the post-game press conference after this one.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had a chance to really get into it with Luka. We obviously, ran a play for him to get a look.
I don't care what JJ has to say.
Confusion being the common theme among the Lakers in the locker room after this one, well, confusion is my main takeaway.
I want to get to Scott's statistical breakdown. Scott breaks down the lineups really well in this video about how the Lakers are better off without LeBron. And it's really convincing. They're in trouble. He's got to either retire or he's got to be traded, because it's obvious who the problem is when you break down the lineup statistics, the on-off numbers, all that good stuff. Here we are now. He's going to start breaking down the lineups here and gets into exactly how bad things are when it comes to LeBron James. I see my man Will stumbling out there. What's cracking? Let's go ahead and spin that clip.
Whopping 226 minutes so far. It includes Luka Doncic, LeBron James, Marcus Smart, DeAndre Ayton, and Jake LaRavia. And though...
Okay, that's the Lakers' most used lineup so far this season, which is not their entire starting lineup at all. They've had a lot of injuries, so Jake LaRavia should be coming off the bench. Marcus Smart should also be coming off the bench. But this lineup is the most used lineup they've had this season. Negative 5.5 points by this lineup combined. Okay, well, you figure LaRavia is a relatively young player, if not a rookie. I can't recall if he's a rookie. I think he is. Smart, he's not the greatest offensive player in the world, but he's a vet, good defender. So the four of them, plus LaRavia, they should be able to keep it above water, but they're not. But It gets worse.
Those players have played, again, for 226 minutes, and they have registered a minus 5.5 net differential in those 226 minutes. Meaning that when you aggregate out how they fare against their opponents in the 226 minutes, they on average are getting outscored per 100 possessions. So basically per game that lineup would play, they get outscored by about 5.5 points per game, which essentially makes them, like a 30-win team, maybe a 25-win team in an 82-game regular season. That is their most utilized lineup. The second most utilized lineup this season for the LA Lakers has been one that includes Luka Doncic, LeBron.
Okay, that's your actual starting lineup for the Los Angeles Lakers. Except, no, that would be it. I'm pretty sure Hachimura. They may have Smart instead of Hachimura, but I think that this is what would be the most common starting lineup for the Lakers at this point.
LeBron James, Austin Reeves, DeAndre Ayton,
That's
and
horrible.
Rui Hachimura.
That's horrible.
Those 5 players have played for 94 minutes. Again, the second most of any 5-man lineup. And that 5-man lineup drops to an insane minus 23.6. Meaning again...
Okay, so in this case, they took out LaRavia and replaced him with Hachimura. That was the only change. The rest were the same. Ayton, Reeves, LeBron, Luka, they were all there. Let's spin the clip.
If you extrapolate out those 5 guys on a court per game for an entire game, they would lose that game by roughly 24 points on average to their opponents. So just an absolutely abysmal lineup. And you want to know what
I'm sorry, I think Smart was also in place on that first team as well. So there was a sub for Smart as well.
Notice about those first 2 lineups that I just spoke about, LeBron James is involved with both of them. But this third most utilized lineup, the third of, like over 100 combinations or probably more of 5-man lineups. Well, this one actually does not utilize LeBron James. They have been on the floor for 81 minutes so far this season. And this is a
Now that's ugly because that's everybody but LeBron. Luka, Reeves, Smart, Hachimura, Ayton. Those are the 5 core players on this team not named LeBron Raymond James. That is damning. That's absolutely damning. This is a winning team. Without a doubt, this is a winning team. LeBron James is the problem in Los Angeles. Fam, don't lie to yourself. Don't listen to those who lie and say he's playing at the top 20 level. He ain't. He's washed. Officially washed. Let's spin the clip.
5-man lineup of Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, Marcus Smart, Rui Hachimura, and DeAndre Ayton.
That's dramatic.
Those 5 guys, again, no LeBron, are a plus 16 on the net rating, which means that on average, if you extrapolate those 5 out for an entire game, they would beat their opponents by 16 points per game on average. So I'm looking at the 3 most utilized lineups for the LA Lakers this season. 2 of them preposterously in the negatives, like minus 5.5 and minus 23.5. Both of those use LeBron James. The third most utilized lineup that does not contain LeBron James, mind you, well, that plus 16 would be the greatest net rating in NBA history if you extrapolated that out for an entire 82-game NBA season. Now, of course, that's not how it works. They obviously wouldn't hold that level of net rating if they were the primary lineup of usage for an entire 82-game season, but it's a pretty safe bet that when you see that lineup for over 80 minutes and the other 2 for 90 and 226 minutes, it's a pretty safe bet that they are drastically and substantially better, that lineup, than the other 2. Again, 2 with LeBron and 1 without. It's really not hard to see the problem right now. It is LeBron James. I'm not hating, and people that are saying that he makes the LA Lakers worse, they're not hating, they're just evaluating.
I mean, I'm hating. But I'm hating with stats. It's okay. If your hate is supported, hate on.
The numbers and what they're saying and the direction that is leading us into, which is an obvious conclusion that LeBron James is the problem. But then,
speaking of hate, I hate JJ Redick, and he really should be fired.
again, there really is no solution. I mean, the Lakers are beyond the trade deadline. They're not going to cut LeBron James at this point, and JJ Redick isn't going to bench LeBron James. This just is what it is for the remainder of the season, and I think we can all see where that's heading as well, which is a first-round exit. This team is good enough. They do have enough talent in those big three to hold on to the 6th seed. Right now, they're essentially still in a 4-way tie for the 3. They are tied with Minnesota in the loss column right now. Each have 23 losses. The Houston Rockets have 21 losses, and the Denver Nuggets have 22. So at this point right now, if the playoffs were to begin today, the Nuggets and...
All right, folks, he's going to discuss the Lakers' playoff chances for the rest of his video. And I'm not really interested in that right now. You know, the gist of it is LeBron James is washed. Officially washed. And they're talking about him going to another team next year, man. At 41, going on 42 years old, why? For what? You're a billionaire. You're worth like $1.2 billion. You really need another season of basketball in Cleveland or who knows where to make you complete at this point. I mean, what's this really about? You're never going to beat Michael Jordan, and you're never going to be him. So give it up, man. I mean, the stat padding is pissing everybody off. You're tanking the Lakers. They can't be effective in letting Luka Doncic lead this team. It's a calamity with LeBron James, whose ego seems to be unsurpassed. LeBron James loves him some LeBron James. And he has an annoying habit of making everything about him when it really shouldn't be. And if you ask me, he's overstayed his welcome in the National Basketball Association for about 4 years now. About 4 years. LeBron honestly should have retired after that bubble chip, which nobody really respects. LeBron James's tenure in a Lakers uniform is one of mediocrity. He had one good season, 2020, and if his old ass didn't have the benefit of 4 months off before a 1 month playoff tournament in an AAU type environment in Orlando, him and the most fragile defender superstar to ever exist, Anthony Davis, one of them would have likely been injured, or one of them would have likely been lame, and the Lakers likely would not have won that championship that year. Argue with me if you want. Argue with me if we want. I know they were in second place. They were in second place when they won that chip, or when the season ended because of COVID. But that don't mean much when it comes to age and attrition. LeBron is age and AD is attrition. So I'll give you a half a championship because somebody had to win it. But if I was Los Angeles, if I was the Lakers franchise, I'm not giving you a statue. I probably won't even give you we'll give you a farewell tour. We'll give you a LeBron James night to cap things off, bro. But you're not no legacy Laker that anybody's ever going to think about in the canon the same way that they think about those other three guys. You're not. And that's what you set out to do, and you failed. LeBron James is a cautionary tale, in my opinion, because LeBron James, with all his physical attributes, if he were smarter, if he were more dedicated, more hardworking, and played less games, played less with the media, stopped trying to be a mogul while he was playing basketball, he probably could have had 8 championships 6 years ago. But LeBron James has this need to be loved, this need for attention that really takes away from his greatness. And he puts himself out there in ways that are just flat out corny and goofy at the end of the day. That's just my opinion of LeBron James. I don't hate him. I spent my money to go stand for 2 hours to watch him play basketball. I know he's an all-time great. I just wish he would have not gone out like this. And you can't tell these guys how to end their careers. somebody's paying me $60 million a year to play basketball, I'd think twice about quitting too. But LeBron, let these young boys have the NBA. You're twice as old, plus a year or two, than some of these guys, man. It's not your league anymore, bro. I know you want your farewell tour. Announce your retirement in March. And have the next 60 days be your farewell tour, because you're not going to get a bunch of roses around the league. It's not going to happen like that. We'll laud you. We'll give you a nice round of applause when you come to Portland. But it's not going to be what you think it's going to be, man. It really ain't. Unfortunately, LeBron James has destroyed a great bit of his legacy. That's it for tonight, y'all. It's your man Zen Master for Reaction Nation here on Pass the Joint Podcast. I told y'all I was going to do this more. I see you out there. I wish the chat was just a little bit more active, but we'll get there. We'll get there. I know I owe y'all some work and some time and some consistency. But hell, that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. I really like doing these full-length reaction lives. It kills two birds with stone. I'm not going to be able to do it every day because I have a career. I have a life. All that stuff keeps me busy. But especially on the weekends, I'll make sure I deliver this high-quality content in 4K as you've become accustomed to receiving. Salute the game, gang. We'll see you all on the next go-round. Peace.
Never hid in the crowd. Cops pulled me over, tried to test my pride. System wasn't built for a king to thrive. Still I made moves, kept the dream alive. Johnstown pain, but it gave me a spark. Lit my path bright when the world was dark. Oak Street raised me, I left my mark. Yeah, raised believe money in my heart. Session, read from the running, yeah. Got girl, foot up running, yeah. Yeah, race, read from the running, yeah. Steel town grit with the winter so cold. Mama praying hard just to keep her soul. Young black king trying to break the mold. Yeah. 17 so to 90, I was sharp as a knife. Dodging all the hate, trying to carve my life. Pride in my step, even through the strife. Floods came down, tried to wash us away, but we built back strong, found another way. Black boy rising, where the shadows stay. Corner store lessons from the OG crew. Keep your head high, boy, do what you do. Street light wisdom help me make it through. Haters on my back, but my heart stayed loud.